Okay, so this is just some notes for your living room. So the idea here is that I'm taking you through the main rooms of a house one at a time, and we're going to be approaching uh, the dream home design as kind of like a series of exercises. So we're going to design a living room, a kitchen, a bedroom, a bathroom, so that I can run you through really quickly a bunch of the concepts that you need. And then you guys are going to take that knowledge and apply it to your dream home. So for these, you can make it as big as you want. All right? Like you can really go hard here. So let's just go over a couple of things, okay? First of all, what is the scale we are using? The exact same scale for every single one of these is 1 square is equal to 1 square foot. And just for future reference, feet are indicated with one of these. So it'd be like, that would be 2 feet. And inches, when you write it, are indicated with 2 of these, like quotes. So if something is 8 feet 2 inches, it's 8 feet 2 inches. This is what it looks like. And so that seems to be confusing some of you guys because I think you're just really used to metric. Now, if you are indicating half an inch, which you are not going to really need to do because we're rounding everything up in order to make it work, but say it was a half inch, it would be like this: 8 feet 2 1/2 inches, right? You will see people talk about 1/4 scale, which you're kind of using because the grid paper that you have is sort of 1/4 scale. So what that means is 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4. This, if I get out my measuring tape, should equal 1 inch. That's what 1/4 scale means. And that is the standard. Well, and that is the standard for pretty much all construction drawing that you're going to do. And when I was in theater school and we had to build maquettes, which are like 3D mock-ups, kind of like the subdivision things you did, everything had to be in 1/4 inch scale. I should have put inch there. Okay, so that is the scale that you are expected to use. That's one thing. Okay, 2. So you need to have viewed, there's a PowerPoint on interior design in the assignment for, I'll repost it in this, okay? I'll just include it. So on the PowerPoint, it talked about traffic flow, and this is where I want to talk about right now. It's super important for any public space, and a living room is a public space. If somebody comes over to your house, they generally end up, you invite them in the living room. If you're like my mom's family and a lot of old school British families, they would have very cut up kind of townhouse things. And so they had like a front room, and my other grandmother did too. And a lot of families do, where there was the front parlor. And the front parlor was like the living room that no one ever lived in. The only person who got to use the front parlor in my grandma's place was the priest when he came to visit. That was it. Nobody else ever got to use it, except if there was like a public kind of thing, like a wake that was being held at the house. Then it was sort of like it was the room that you never messed up. So some people, the North American version of that is you have a living room upstairs that's like really, really nice. And then downstairs you have the den. And that's where like people actually watch TV. So the living room you are designing can be a place where it's the super comfortable living room. It can be incorporated with a kitchen as part of an open plan. Or it can also be just a formal living room. It's really up to you. But those are the kind of types of living rooms. So, sorry. So, traffic flow in a living room is super important because living rooms have a ton of furniture and you need to accommodate people. So, I'm just going to do and I'm using a Sharpie because it's high contrast. I'm going to do a really, really small living room. So, I'm going to say, so that would be 3 feet. Let's make it 4 feet. And then remember that doorways are generally 3 feet. So, that's 1, 2, 3 squares, right? And then I'm going to have another. And that's just going to be a standard doorway. And let's say that the door opens this way. This is how you indicate a door. Door opens this way. Why don't I put French doors over on this side? I'll say that the living room opens out onto a deck. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to have French doors. So French doors would be 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Nice French doors leading to it's a small living room, but it'll have lots of light. And then, of course, I'm going to have some windows. So this window is going to be a nice big long window. Now, to show the window, I'm just going to bump it out a little bit. Obviously, you'll do this a little more with your... it's very clunky because I'm not using a ruler. I really suggest you use a ruler. I'm not using a ruler and I'm using a Sharpie. So French doors, in order to indicate you could indicate a sliding door by going like this, or you could just put a 1, and then underneath somewhere here you could put 1, and you have to have a legend and explain what all the things are. Okay, you're not making an actual construction document, so if you just did a 1 you could, but I could also have French doors that open this way, doors that open this way, and I would just have arrows to indicate that they're opening out, because if they were like this, then they would be opening in. Why does any of this matter? Well, let's also put a fireplace in. Why not? So my fireplace is going to be off this wall because let's say that I decided to spend the money and I've got a double fireplace going on the other side of this thing. So there's a fireplace in this room and the room next to it, and there's one chimney coming up, all right? So my fireplace is going to protrude probably. You need let's say it's a narrow fireplace and it's only 1.5, so ish. So 1.5 of these, 1.5 feet. But the problem is, this is where the clearance comes in. And this is where the challenge comes in about making furniture. So here's the deal. I'm going to use a color to kind of explain about traffic patterns. And then I'm going to make some furniture and try and fit it in here. So here's the deal. When you come in here, because of the direction, this whole thing that I'm coloring green needs to be clear. If someone walks in here and this swings all the way that way, well, they're going to hit something. So you need clearance there. In order to, for safety's sake, even if you have safety grates up here, for one thing, you're going to have slate. You can't have rug, right? You can't have combustibles within 2 feet of a fireplace on any side. So it can't even be 1 foot there. It has to be here. So 2 feet out, 2 feet out, 2 feet out, away from the fireplace. You can't have anything burnable in there. Nothing. Never mind all those fantasies about sitting on a bearskin rug in front of a fire. Again, you need clearance here. So let's be generous and say that these are opening out. Okay, let's save ourselves. Or that they're sliding doors or pocket doors. Let's just say sliding. Which there are problems with that because they tend to freeze up in our climate. They're not the greatest, but let's just say they're sliding doors or they're out. They're swinging out. We don't need that much clearance, but we still need clearance. If people are going to be coming in and out of it, you would need at least 3 feet of clearance for people to move, or dogs to move in and out. Now, the other clearance issue is you don't want to block this window. So let's say the window, I'll do a little side elevation here of this wall. So let's say the window I won't do this to scale because I'm in a rush. But normally I'd make you do it to scale. So let's say that the window was like this, high up, right? So that's like a side view. So when you are placing furniture, if you have a shelf that's this high, you're not going to put that shelf in front of that window. You're going to block off the light. That's a horrible idea, right? Here's your shelf, and now your shelves are like up on your window. It's similarly if you have like a really nice high-backed chair, right? Here's this awesome chair of mine. I don't know. If you have a chair by a window, that might work out. But here's the thing you got to remember. We live in a really, really, really cold climate. And unless you have very, very good window glazing, like it's called triple glazing, you're probably not going to want to be sitting that close to a window. And you wouldn't want your back to a window anyway. You'd want to be able to look out. So we've got a window here, fireplace here, entrance here. And this, and I deliberately did this is an incredibly small and very problematic living room. Because where do you put stuff? And that is going to be the next lesson. So just go through the rating scale and tell me whether this is making sense to you or not.